You tell a story. He does too. Can he one up you? Well, that's up to you. Tell your best tale, and you never know. You could be a winner on the One Upper Show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, people of Earth, welcome to an introduction to the One Upper. I'm sitting here with the One Upper's host, the One Upper himself, Ted Blaszak.
Hello.
Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, Blaszak.
Blaszak.
Yeah.
All righty. That's Polish, I believe, right?
Yes.
All right. All right. All right. I am your host of the Burning Sage podcast. My name is Sage Ryan Cash, also part of the Burning Sage Productions. This is my first attempt at producing a show. And thank you, by the way, for giving me the opportunity.
You're doing a really good job.
I appreciate that, sir. I really appreciate that. Now we got video going, so you can see our pretty faces.
Yes.
And yeah, I just wanted to do this video to kind of have the audience get to know you a little bit. You know, it's been audio only for the first, I think we got 30 episodes coming on Tuesday and counting. You can find those anywhere you get your normal podcasts, you know, Spotify, Amazon Music, all those things. Also at the oneuppershow.com. Shameless plug. I'm also wearing the t-shirt here that you can inquire about getting also.
You can win a t-shirt, folks.
Yes, you can. But yeah, I wanted to do this intro video because it's been audio only, and I realized, you know, you are not an actor or somebody who's in the public scene very much. So people might not know who you are, and that's fine. But for this type of stuff, I feel like if you know the host, you can put a face to the voice. It helps in the you know, gathering an audience. You know, so we're doing this here today for you guys.
Cool.
All right. First and foremost, what is your legal birth name? No, I'm just kidding. So Ted Blaszak, already said your name. Where are you from, Ted?
I could begin with the story right away. I was born in Western Massachusetts, and I grew up kind of near. My parents were divorced, so I grew up went back and forth between central Pennsylvania and Boston and Western Massachusetts area. In fact, do you want to hear a story right away?
Sure.
Okay, just gonna slow things down right away. But you asked if my name Blaszak was this is one of the best stories I have.
Oh,
actually.
Man.
Okay. I'm like, I should save this.
You should.
This is
Maybe
a
you should.
great story. Well, I mean,
Let's do it. Let's give it to the audience here, the intro
this
video.
I love this story because it's a true story. I'm Polish. I was born in Western Massachusetts. My grandparents immigrated from Poland around the turn of the century. And there's this story about how the Polish people came to be in Chicopee, Massachusetts. And that's where I was born, Chicopee. And this is a totally true story. And every year there's a Polish American festival at the Western States Field Exposition, and there's carnivals and games, and there's thousands of Poles, and there's kapusta and gwumpkies and kibasa everywhere, and bad breath and gas, and happy people, and polkas, lots of polkas, lots of costumes. So, but they always tell this story every year at this event of how the Polish people came to be in Chicopee, Massachusetts. Before the turn of the century, there was a great recession in Poland, and people were poor and they wanted to come to America. A lot of people were immigrating to America. And this village of about 2,000 people, they all pooled their money together. They sold all their possessions, and then they went down and they bought transport fare on a boat to get all the way to America. And they came to Ellis Island, and they got through the island, and they went to Grand Central Station. And their intention was to go to Chicago, which is a huge enclave of Polish people live in Chicago. It's the second most popular Polish populated city in the world, second to Warsaw.
Wow.
Yeah. Very great place for good Polish food restaurants. So anyway, all 2,000 people, my ancestors, make it through Ellis Island. They go to Grand Central Station, and they want to buy train tickets to Chicago. And they realize at that moment that not a single one of them speaks English. So they pick the bravest and smartest of them, and they give him all their money, and he goes up to the train counter and he goes, Chico, Chico, Chico. And that train attendant, that ticket salesman, gave my ancestors 2,000 tickets to Chicopee, Massachusetts.
Wow.
So they wound up going east instead of west on a much shorter trip.
Yeah.
And when they got there, they decided it was divine providence.
Wow.
Because they were farmers, and in Western Massachusetts, it was all
Farmland. Yeah.
So
we know how to do this.
right.
Right on.
So now you go to Amherst or Agawam or wherever, and you'll see like cabbage farms everywhere.
Yeah. Wow.
And my grandfather formed the Polish American club in Agawam. So
Wow.
that's my roots.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
man, that's
See,
amazing.
that's
Yeah.
And you got a story.
And you got a story, and ladies and gentlemen, that's what this show is all about. Ted, tell me about this show for those that don't know and maybe new to the channel and the show and everything about the One Upper Show.
Yeah.
But spoiler alert, has to do with stories. As you can see,
Yes.
this man's plentiful.
Yes.
And
Lots of stories.
yeah, tell me about the
Lots of
One
stories.
Upper Show.
I love this show. I love doing this show.
I'm
This
glad
is a
I-
great show.
It
It
is.
is so much fun, and it keeps turning into a better and better show than I thought it was going to be. And basically, I'm moving into semi-retirement, and my kids are taking over the business. And my beautiful wife and I, we moved to Florida, and and suddenly I know no one, and I've got time on my hand, and I'm thinking about a hobby, and I thought about this podcast. So I decided, I'm going to do something that allows me to get out there and bullshit with people.
Yeah.
Just talk.
Yeah.
And get to know them and sit in a bar and have a beer and hear their story or go to the farmer's market. So it's a very simple concept. And it's from a belief that I have that everybody has a story.
Mm-mm.
And everybody's story deserves to be celebrated.
It does.
And
Yes.
I just like one of the things that I've always hated was you look at the talk shows and it's always like, a movie star had a bad job experience.
Yeah.
Well, we all did.
Yeah.
I bet some of our bad job experiences were better than the movie stars.
Yeah.
But also, part of the concept of the show is my trying to improve my own behavior. And I have over the years, but I had a tendency to be a one-upper. And it's very obnoxious.
Yeah.
So actually I learned pretty quickly not to be that guy.
Yeah.
But I have to stop myself. So there'd be so many times where I would go to a party and someone would tell their story and I'd be like, that story ain't shit,
Oh, yeah.
man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can talk that, but I don't say anything. 'Cause I don't want to make the person I'm talking to feel bad.
Yeah.
That life is far more boring than mine is.
Mm-hmm.
But so anyway, so it's a very simple concept is people sit down, they tell me a story about their life, and then I try to one up them on the parallel theme with a story from my own life. And if I can't one up our guests, they win a t-shirt. And just like that. Yeah. And then to carry it even a little farther is the audience, the listening audience on YouTube or Spotify or Amazon or iTunes or all of the many platforms we have. I want them to get involved because I want to hear their stories. And
We want
I
to hear
bet,
from you.
yes, because I bet a lot of listeners can one up
Well,
the stories they hear.
yeah,
So it's creates a chain of celebrating everybody's stories. is
Yes,
the idea.
and that is my favorite thing about it because when you we met. I date his stepdaughter, and so we met that way. And I had been rambling as I do. Those of you that are the very few, but appreciated fans of the Bernie Stage podcast know that I can ramble on forever. And I also have that bug to one up people when I hear
Yeah.
people tell their stories as well.
Yeah, a lot of us do.
So
Yeah.
when we got on the subject of podcasts and we were talking about doing something like this, and you told me the premise, I was like, well, that sounds amazing
Yeah.
because it's totally, it almost bypasses what a podcast is theoretically set up for.
Yeah.
When you interview, podcasts are conversations basically, and the best parts of conversations are the good stories. So you're just bypassing that and getting the good stories. And what you left out is that we've been going to certain locations. We did the first batch in Florida,
Mhm.
Merritt Island, Cocoa Beach, Florida. We sat at a bar there. What was the bar's name? Hula Hideout.
It was the Beach Shack.
The Beach Shack. That's
Beach
right.
Shack.
That's
And
right.
then,
Sorry,
there
Beach
was
Shack. But shout out to you.
another bar, restaurant across the way that the people were very nice at. That if you listen to some of our early podcasts,
Yeah.
I mentioned their name and I
Yeah.
forget it now.
But shout out to Cocoa Beach and
Yeah.
those few bars that let us there. But we just basically set up there and kind of,
Yeah.
hang out for a bit and gather people that are moseying around and get them to sit down and tell their stories, which again is just such a part of the specialness of this show,
That's
in my
actually
opinion.
so. One of the things that I love about this podcast is that it takes absolutely no preparation for me at all. He has to do work,
Yeah.
and Anna does. They've got to like build signs and set up equipment and all locations and all that stuff. But I just show up and talk with people,
Yeah.
which is easy and fun to do.
Yes.
But the hardest part of the show, and the other thing I do is when we're out there trying to ask people to get on to be a guest, because we keep approaching these strangers and we're like, "Hi, you got a good story," and they look at us like we're pretty weird.
Yeah.
But
So if you see us out there, just ladies and gentlemen, we're harmless. All right.
Yeah.
We're nothing political. None of no judgments here. We just want to hear good stories and
Yeah.
try to one up them. That's all we're trying to do
Yeah.
here.
yeah, and I think it's honestly, repeating myself now. My favorite part of this show is that um, we're not looking for the fantastic, like this person's a celebrity, this person's a newsmaker, and we're going the absolute opposite direction. And that's, I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
I really enjoy just people not trying to stand out, but everybody does in their own way.
Yes. Yeah, and that's, because again, having heard of it, it's one thing to talk about doing something, and then when we finally sit down and do it, we're all question marks, question marks. How's it gonna work? Is it
Yeah.
gonna work? Are people gonna want to talk to us? Blah
Yeah.
blah blah. And to see it unfold, and to hear the stories, you start to realize, oh shoot, I think we might be onto something here. It's just such a easy listening podcast. You throw it on. It could be 10 minutes, could be 20. You never know. Stories take their own shape and form, but
so brief, and we're able to produce so much content in a week because of
yeah,
that. And also the other thing is just that always keeps surprising me is how fantastic these
the
stories
stories.
are.
Yep.
These
Yep.
people, so many people have such an amazing perspective on life because of their occupation or location or family or whatever. They're just brought to these really neat experiences,
Yeah.
and everyone's special.
Yes.
I love that. I
Yes.
love that about our show.
Genuinely. All right. Well, that was that'll conclude it. That was the only couple questions I have. I don't want to, do a whole podcast video here because, you got your stories to save for the future episodes.
McKenna, come around here. I want to show McKenna. All right. I just want this final little
This is our camera
intro
assistant for the day.
thing. This is Sage's girlfriend, my stepdaughter, McKenna, and this is Sage, and this is me, and this is your one-upper team, and I just want to thank you guys so much.
Coming to a
Really,
city
really
near you.
appreciate you. Yes.
Coming to a city or town near you. Any last words? I mean, we're here in Coeur d'Alene. This video will come out after we're gone, unfortunately. But stay tuned to theoneuppershow.com and social media at The One Upper Show on everything. Follow us there to see where we might be headed next. But yeah, looking forward to seeing you guys out there in the flesh.
Take care.
The One Upper Show is brought to you by Trailblazing Canvassers and the Burning Sage Productions.